بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sisters, my dear daughter. Welcome back to a new episode of the biography and the story of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Enjoying the rest of events that happening to wrap up last lesson. We mentioned about the revelation when first sent down the Jibril, the angel, to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, with the first revelation of Quran, the first 5 verse of Surah Al-Alaq, and this is considered to be the informing of Prophet Muhammad that he will come to be the messenger, and it will be the messenger for this ummah. And we mentioned that after that the wahy or the revelation stopped few months, and then again it came with the revelation of the first ayat of Surah Al-Muddathir, which is considered to be the start of the mission of the prophethood by Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, mentioning Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'anzir. So after that we mentioned that Prophet Muhammad started his da'wah and his mission officially as the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by secretly for 3 years. And we mentioned that the very efficient role of Lady Khadija radiallahu anha, how she was the first to believe in him and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the woman, and his friend Abu Bakr from the men, and his cousin Ali ibn Abi Talib from the youth. And it was, as mentioned at the beginning, the da'wah was secretly, since the Mecca was full of the tribes of that considered to be the den of idolatry at that time, and confrontation was not from wise to start the da'wah by directly conflict and confrontation to them. Also, the secret call was important for building the foundation that Prophet Muhammad needs to have from his companion around him, to have the nucleus or the very early beginning of the Muslims at that time. And that's why the da'wah was remained secret for around 3 years. After that, we mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Prophet Muhammad to start warn his relatives, start with his relatives. So he invited them twice in his home, and during the invitations he started to invite them for Islam and talking about Islam. And every time his uncle Abu Lahab was the one who is always attacking him and close the conversation. And Prophet at that time, he is not finding any way except that he closed the conversation and couldn't go further. The revelations then came to Prophet Muhammad in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah 94, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to him, then declare what you are commanded and turn away from the polytheist. And this is this ayah considered to be the first order for Prophet Muhammad to start to announce about his da'wah and invitation to Islam. And that's why he climbed on the mountain of the Safa. We stopped last time by mentioning what happened in the mountain of the Safa. Mountain of the Safa is still present now in Mecca, and it's considered one of the very important sign for Hajj or Umrah, because through the doing the sa'i is between the Safa and the Marwa. So what happened at that time, that Prophet Muhammad climbed the mountain of the Safa and started to call the tribes of Quraysh at that time. Of course, we know that Quraysh was different tribes, and he started to call them And of course, Abu Lahab again was present in the gathering. And then he's, alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned to them, you see, if I were to tell you that there were some horsemen in the valley planning to raid you, will you believe me? They said, yes, we have never experienced any lie from you. See? So this is by their testimony that they are believing him. Moreover, he was calling, he was known at Mecca to be the truth teller and the honest and the truth teller. That's why it was the first answer came by them. Of course, we're going to believe you. We never experienced any lie from you. So after that, alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned, I am a warner to you before a severe torment. And that time, again, Abu Lahab came and he mentioned to Prophet Muhammad, perish you all the day. Have you summoned us for such a thing? Then actually it was a very rude way of answering what Prophet Muhammad was telling people. And after that occasion, it was revealed Surah Al-Masad. All of us know Surah Al-Masad in Juz 30, speaking about Abu Lahab by saying, perish the two hands of Abi Lahab. Tabbat yada Abi Lahab wa tab. And the whole surah is speaking about Abu Lahab and his wife and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared for them their what they deserve in the place of Jahannam wal-'iyadhu billah, because of what many some they harm the Prophet Muhammad psychologically and physically during his da'wah. So we can hear, if we're going to stop for a second and just mentioning about the progress in the da'wah, we'll find that the progress in the da'wah is starting gradually from the secret call, as we mentioned, and then to the relatives. And then now, as we can see, it's on the media. It's Prophet Muhammad is now on the mountain of Safa, so it means on the media. It's now all the people around the Arabian, we can be more specific on Mecca especially, will hear about the invitation and the da'wah of Prophet Muhammad to Islam. And we can see another point, that Prophet Muhammad is not doing anything from his mind. Since he was being informed about his mission as a messenger from Allah, we can see that every action he's doing is a revelation in the da'wah, is a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he has the ayah came, it is an order to him, so he go and start to act. When he has a revelation, Allah ordering him, so he starts to act. So this is what we are going to observe while we are passing in the story of the Prophet alayhi salam. Now, the reaction of the polytheists of Mecca, or the mushrikeen of Mecca, when they heard the Prophet Muhammad telling them that he is a warner to them. So they were astonished and stunned. They have never seen an ideal example of mannerism and morality like him before. And at the same time, he is inviting them to Islam. So although that they know him quite well, and they know that he's not a liar, and he's always telling the truth, they denied his message. They denied the message of Islam. Why they denied the message of Islam? Because Islam is the religion of justice. The justice for them is something that they can't apply in their life. Because as we mentioned, in their habits, they are depending on having the masters and the slaves, and having the rich people, the poor people. Those are serving those having a very glory and a very arrogancy. They cannot leave their arrogance and their proud and the way they raised on like their fathers and their grandfathers and start to be equal in equality of their slaves. This is one aspect. Islam is demanding from them to have the zakah and charity. They cannot do that also because they want to increase their wealth, increase their money. Islam is demanding there is no riba or usury. They are living with the riba at that time and usury. Also, Islam is demanding not to drink alcohol and not to have adultery, which adultery was very common at that time. Even they had a common shops for adultery. So they cannot obey for these things that the benefits they are imagining that they have, and they cannot. Although they are believing Prophet Muhammad and know that he is not a liar, but because of their arrogance and their pride, they denied the religion of Islam. And from this moment, after the declaration of the da'wah on the mountain of Safa, started the opposition and the resistance against this new religion. And here in this lesson, we're going to see the different ways that the disbelievers in Quraysh started to attack Prophet Muhammad in. So the first that they sent him Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. He is one of the very famous figures in Mecca at that time. They send him to Prophet Muhammad in attempt to deviate him from his path. But when this man heard the Quran, Prophet Muhammad والسلام, he recited the Quran, ayat from the Quran on him. He returned back to his clan, explaining the positive impact that the Prophet's Quranic recitation had on him. Actually, he told them it's something that nobody can do it. It's not a poem, and it's not something that came by revelation from the jinn. It is something completely not from the human beings or the mankind to be inventing, or even the jinn can do that. So they were very afraid at that time, the gathering around this man, and they told him, you can't say that. We just sent you to try to pick up any fault, and we try now to make a propaganda against him. We don't want the people to hear this Quran. What should we do? You have to say something about this Quran. So actually, here in Surah Al-Muddathir, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning this event, this conversation between the man, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, and the other gathering around him from the leaders of the disbelievers in Mecca. He's trying now, the Quran is describing the condition of such man. He was trying to know what to say about the Quran to make it something not to be believed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning in Surah Al-Muddathir, verily he thought and plotted, so let him be cursed. How he plotted, and once more let him be cursed. How he plotted. Then he thought, then he frowned, and he looked in a bad-tempered way. Then he turned back and was proud. Then he said, this is nothing but magic. Magic from that of old. This is nothing but the word of a human being. So this is the description of how that man started to make or to lie on the Quran and what he heard from Prophet Muhammad by saying it is a magic and it is the word of a human being, although that he's knowing 100%, and he mentions that it is not from any human being or mankind. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing him, how he took time to try to lie, and then came with the final lie that it is a magic and it is from the human being or from Prophet Muhammad. Yeah. So this is the first thing happened. They started to have the black propaganda around the Islamic religion by saying it is a magic, and it is all being written or said by Prophet Muhammad. It's by human being. It's not from the Lord of the universe or from the God. The second way of their resistance and opposition to the da'wah came by scoffing, degrading, ridiculing, belying, and cheap manners. They start to mock from the believers and from Prophet Muhammad himself. In the Quran, we have saying, and they say here, and they say that disbelievers, O you means for Muhammad alayhi salam, to whom the dhikr is the Quran, has been sent down. Verily, you are a madman. They described him later that he is a madman. This is in Quran. And another ayah in Quran, and they, here again, the polytheists or the Arab pagans, wonder that a warner, who is Prophet Muhammad والسلام, has come to them from among themselves. And the disbelievers say this prophet is a sorcerer, a liar. So this again to the second character, they described him as a sorcerer or a magician and a liar. So he's a liar and he's a magician, they said. And again, they described him, Allah has favored from amongst us. So this is a type also of mocking by, did Allah didn't find except you to make him the messenger? He can choose any one of us. Why he chose you? Now they forgot that they told him that he is a truth teller and he's the most honest. And when he told him, if I will tell you anything, you will believe me, or the horse coming from the valley will believe me, they said, yes, we will believe you. But when it comes to Islam, when it comes to the verse of ayat and ayat of the Quran, they started to have all these things. He is a liar. No, he is a magician. No, he is a madman. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he choose him, not choose one of us? Okay, this is for the Prophet Muhammad. What about the Muslim people? What happened to the Muslims? They used various ways to mock the righteous people, and the Muslims, they would inwardly laugh at their faith, mocking from them, because they felt themselves so superior. Again, in the ayat of Quran, that mentions that the one who is following the prophet at that time from the slaves and from the poor people and from the needy people. So how could we enter the religion that the poor people and the needy entering? How we could be at the same level with them? And this is what I told in the beginning of the lesson. Because Islam is a religion of justice, and this is number one, justice, to make all people having the same rights and the same responsibilities, they cannot bear that. They cannot believe in that. The second point, in public places, when the righteous passed, they used to insult them and wink at them. In their houses, they felt happy because of their action. After they are mocking from the righteous, when return back to their families, they start mentioning what happened and happened and happened. Whenever and wherever they saw them, they reproached and called them fools who had lost their way, fools that lost her. And actually, these four characters being mentioned in Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah is mentioning how is the disbeliever was, sorry, it's not Al-Hujurat, how the disbeliever are describing the Muslim people. Allah Almighty said, verily during the worldly life, those who committed crimes used to laugh at those who believed. And whenever they passed by them, used to wink one to another. And when they returned to their own people, they would return jesting. And when they saw them, they said, "Verily, these have indeed gone astray." But they, which is the disbeliever, had not been sent as a watchers over them. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning about the disbelievers and their behavior towards the Muslims, and how he's telling them at the end, they are not sent as watcher over them. It's better for them to watch themselves, to watch how they are throwing themselves to the Jahannam. Another way of opposition and resisting. Now we mentioned that Quraysh was opposing Prophet Muhammad personally, in his personality, by telling he is a magician or mad or liar. And secondly, by mocking and making fun from from And now again, another way of their opposition, distorting Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam teachings, evoking ambiguities, circulating false propaganda, forging groundless allegations concerning his doctrines, person, and characters, and going to excess in a such manner in order to screen off any scope of sound contemplation from the public. They try all the time to make what he is saying his valueless, that they try to say it is the stories, a fairy tale or imaginations. It's not true. It's the all the time they are trying to devaluate what is mentioned in the Quran, because you will see here that all the war is coming to the Quran, because the Quran was actually their challenge, the challenge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them. They didn't try to bring another version of Quran or another thing in Arabic letters to challenge the Quran, because they couldn't. They couldn't do that. They found that although the Quran is from the Arabic letters, and they were very skilled in writing the poems and the poetries, and to the degree that they had like a market. It's called the poem market. Its name is Iqaz, Souq Iqaz. Souq Iqaz. What happened in this souq or market, that everyone with his poem come and start to say his poem, and the poem is very long. It's sometimes more than 100 sentences or 100 sentence of the poem, and they have a very skilled memorization. They memorize very easily, and a huge amounts of information that they can memorize. This is the famous of. And all these things and all these skilled people, they couldn't do anything in front of the Quran. And the Quran actually is very clear about that. Many surahs in the Quran is mentioning, if you do really can challenge, just bring one ayah, and sometimes bring 10 ayahs, and then bring one surah, and then 10 surahs, or like it, just surah like it, or ayah like it. It's not the same, but they couldn't. They couldn't. So the way that they try to oppose by making it valueless. So we are not going to challenge, but it seems to be valueless. It seems to be that it is a stories of imagination, stories and fairy tale, and says, oh, from the old. This is what they are trying to do. That's why it came in Quran, tales of the ancients, which he, Muhammad والسلام, has written down. This is what they said. And they are dictated to him morning and afternoon. So they mentioned about Prophet Muhammad that he is writing the Quran. And this, not Quran, this is the tales of the ancients. Also in Quran, this Quran is nothing but a lie that he, Muhammad والسلام, has invented, and others have helped him at it. So this is what they mentioned. Mentioned that this Quran been written by Prophet Muhammad, that it is a lie from him, and he's the one, some people who are helping him in writing this Quran. but they didn't make a direct confrontation. They didn't accept the challenge. They didn't bring some ayat from their own to can challenge, although, as we mentioned, they were skilled in the Arabic language. Contrasting the Quran with the mythology, as we mentioned, mythology, a myth, it was a myth. Sometimes they called the Quran myth of the ancients in order to distract people interest from Allah's words, and of mankind is who purchases idle talks. Idle talks here is the music, singing, to mislead men from the path of Allah. There was one of the disbelievers at that time, his name is Naglaa ibn al-Harith. He used to know where Prophet Muhammad is reciting Quran to the Muslims around him or to the companion, and he came on the other side, start to sing and make music and try to attract people because they don't want people to hear. The problem is hearing, because anyone with a pure heart, when hearing Quran, directly he will believe in Quran. So they prevent people from hearing. How to prevent people from hearing? By singing and making distractions in the same place where Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is gathering the people who wants to know about Islam. Another attempt to prevent Prophet Muhammad from his principled stand, Quraysh invited him to compromise on his teachings and come to terms with their pre-Islamic practices in such a way that he quits some of his religion, and the polytheists will do the same. This type of what we called it the bad negotiations. The bad negotiations. There is a type of negotiations that you are, if you accept it, you mean that you will remove or you will surrender in your ideas, and you will not have any progress if you try to do these negotiations. What type of these bad negotiations that shouldn't be accepted when you have the negotiation in your religion? Religion, we cannot do negotiations in religion. We can do negotiation in any other aspects of life. Yes, we can sit and talk, but in Islam, we can't do that. Either to be obey what Allah ordered, or you will not obey. It's a whole package. You cannot say, I will take that and leave that. I'll be a Muslim, but I will drink alcohol. I'll be a Muslim, but I will do adultery. I will be a Muslim, but maybe I use the riba. You can't do that. Of course, according to the scholars, the Muslims who are not doing such things, they are not to have the hukm or the role of the disbelievers, and they consider to be a disobeyed Muslims. But here, when we are saying that Allah, when having the orders, we have to strict to Allah orders and Allah limits. And this is what we are learning from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when the polytheists came to him, try to tell him just compromise. We can drink, we can do something of what we are doing, adultery, we can do adultery, we can do so and so, and just not be so strict. We'll have our idols, we cannot destroy the idols, we will worship the idols sometimes, and then we can. So these type of negotiations Allah mentioned in the Quran. Allah, the All High, says they wish that they here belongs to the, or stands for the disbeliever. They wish that you should compromise in religion out of courtesy with them. So they too would compromise with you. So they telling you that they will compromise to you if you compromise with them. But of course, this is lie. And Allah is mentioning that if you obey them, you will be from the wrongdoers. Then the final this ayah came, and then followed by the final decision about such issue, just to be clear cut for all of us, in Surah Al-Kafirun. Surah Al-Kafirun is like a clear cut. For those who trying to maybe try to be Muslims but not Muslims, or do this but not do that. So, or I can obey the disbeliever in such things and not obeying them in these things in religion. I'm talking in religion. Surah Al-Kafirun was very clear. Say, قل, which means to Prophet Muhammad, say, O Al-Kafirun, Ya Ayyuha Al-Kafirun, I worship not that which you worship. I will not worship what you are worship. قل لا أعبد ما تعبدون. Nor will you worship that which I worship. ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. And I shall not worship that which you are worshipping. ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم. Nor will you worship that which I worship. ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. To you be your religion. You are having your religion. Keep yourself on your religion. And to me, my religion, the Islamic monotheism. Here, we can find the ayat is very clear and very confirmatory that Prophet Muhammad been ordered by Allah by saying قل, say, and of course say is to us also. Whenever we are reciting Surah Al-Kafirun, so the say is to us. Just remember that. Say coming now to us. We will not worship what been worshipped before and what we are worshipping now by the disbelievers. And that's why it being repeated twice. Shall not worship that which you are worshipping, and shall not worship that which you worship. So it comes for the present and for the past. So what you've been worshipped before, I will not worship. What you are worshipping now, I will not worship. So it's not a repetition for the ayat. It's just mentioning the time limits of any worshipping of anything except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in every time, we'll have the disbelievers. In every time, we have the polytheists. In every time, we will have the atheists even. So at that time, we have to be very sharp, clear cut, that we only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will not have any negotiations in our religion. And this is what mentioned by Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam also in the hadith sahih, dinuka dinuka, lahmuka damuk. Your religion is your flesh and your blood. What does it mean? Your flesh and your blood means that if you are protecting yourself, your flesh and your blood, you have to protect your religion the same way as you protecting your life. Because it have the same and more important value than your life. If you live without religion, it means that you lose the life and lose the hereafter. That's why Prophet Muhammad came to him this ayat from Surah Al-Kafirun to be clear-cut with such negotiations with the people of Mecca, disbelievers, and who are trying to make him away from his religion. After that, they finished what we call the Cold War. The Cold War, or the warmy way of attacking or opposition, finished, and now come to the confrontation by the persecution happened to the after a gathering happened from a committee of 25 men from chairman of them was Abu Lahab. Unfortunately, Abu Lahab, his uncle, his relative, his close relative, is one of the very frontline enemies to him, unfortunately. And this is actually it was the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Aziz, Al-Hakim, to make Prophet Muhammad alayhi wasallam, although he lost his father and mother when he was still child, and he was raised with his uncle Abu Talib, and when he started to have his da'wah, the first attack came from his other uncle, where he considered his relatives, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making us having the image that he is Prophet Muhammad is depending on Allah only. is depending on Allah only. He has no parents to support him. And even his uncle, one of his uncle is attacking him. So he's depending on Allah, relying on Allah, and all the coming events will happen, and he is going to be patient and stand in front of all these actions and events will happen to him by the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Persecution started targeting all the Muslim groups in large scale opposition, especially the fresh converts, as they are easier to revert, and some of them, of course, under the torment, they reverted, but reverted just by their tongue, not by their heart. And one of them, one of the companions, his name is Ammar ibn Yasir. Ammar ibn Yasir is the son of two parents. The first one of them is Sumayya, his mother. Sumayya is the first lady, martyr lady, that she died by Abu Jahl, one of the leader of the disbeliever that then after that killed in Badr battle. And her husband was Yasir, also Yasir being killed. And Ammar was their son, and they saw them both killed in front of his eyes. And then he being tortured too much to the degree that he said, okay, I reverted. But after that, they let him go. And then he went back to Prophet Muhammad and told him, I'm really regretting what I did, but because of the pain of the torment and what happened, so Prophet Muhammad told him it's okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah An-Nisa, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ, except who been pushed or forced to say the kufr word, but his heart is full of iman. So after that, Ammar feel quietened. So this was way by making the punishment and torture to the Muslims open hatred towards the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam through stone throwing and calling him the man cut off offspring. What is the man cut off offspring, and what other transgressions and bad attitude done by the disbelievers and the people of Quraysh to Prophet Muhammad? This is what we're going to know next time, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك الله بحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.